little north of Baslick Road.
Yes, there's Corliss, excuse me a minute, there was a girl, I met her in Hester's across the road.
Yes.
After I was speaking to Mrs. Morgan. And she's a Mary Kane, she's a Mary Lynch is her own name.
Okay.
I met her across there, she was having her meal in it.
We just came from her house.
We just came from her house.
She's a connection.
And we are going to meet with her tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes, she has her mother, and her mother's in the nursing home, she's 92.
Oh.
92.
And she said she's a perfect, her memory is perfect.
Oh, wow.
She's 92, yeah.
Maybe.
I remember this girl's father coming in on a sidecar. Well, she's near into Mass every Sunday, back in the 40s and 50s. You see here on the cycle, you hear the clap of the horses coming down the street here. To come in that way from Corliss. Oh yeah, you met that girl, yeah, Mary Kay.
We haven't met her yet. We met her husband.
We met her
She was
husband.
working
She
today.
was working probably here.
Not in Hester, she was working in town somewhere because she goes in there for her.
Okay, so she's working somewhere in
Yes,
town.
and some of the girls in Hester's might know her, like, you know, when I met her, I just knew that I knew she was Lynch.
Okay, so
I'd say you're on the right track, like,
right.
You know, she would be a relation.
So I can tell you what I know about Andrew.
Sorry for interrupting you there.
It's okay. Andrew was born in Ireland around 1804.
Yeah.
He is one of the only offspring of this family of Lynch
Yes.
not to have immigrated.
Yes.
He married Catherine early, probably around 1820. We have no information about the early family.
Yeah.
However, this morning we went out to the cemetery at
Yes.
Baslick,
Yes.
and there's a tombstone out there
Yeah.
with the name Early on it. Don't know whether that's the same family or not.
It would have to be, yes.
Or it have to be.
Definitely it would be, yeah. 'Cause there was areas around here, like, you know,
Right.
yeah.
Andrew and Catherine had had 7 children.
Yes.
7 children. We've established in the Griffiths valuation of 1857,
Yes.
which you're familiar with, I'm sure,
I am, definitely, yes.
that there was an Andrew and married to a Catherine Lynch that occupied 21 acres of farmland in the
Yes.
townland of Corliss, just east of Castlereagh.
Yeah.
The lesser of the land was the Very Reverend Henry Pakenham.
He was connected to the Sanfords, the landlords of Castlereagh.
He was a landlord at Castlereagh. He was
the Sanfords were connected to the Pakenhams. There was one of the Sanford women that they were the what they call them of Castlereagh, the landlords of Castlereagh from 1648 until the eve of the outbreak of the 1914 war. They just left Castlereagh the day before the war broke out.
They did.
1914, the Sanfords.
The Sanfords or the
Yeah,
Pakenhams?
the Sanfords. There was someone with me here about 3 weeks ago. One of them, he's the last male descendant of the Sanfords. I'm sure he has photograph now in a few minutes. And photographs of them all from 1648. The photographs of paintings
Wow.
from 1648 up to the present day.
Wow.
He was in here in the room there a few weeks ago.
So the Reverend Pakenham
Yes.
owned over 3,000 acres
Yeah.
in County Roscommon.
Yeah.
We've located this plot of land on map 21
Yes.
of the Griffith survey. And in the lower left quadrant, lot number 2 of that parcel,
Yes.
it was leased by Andrew and Catherine
Yes.
Lynch. Andrew died on February 22nd, 1867
Yes.
in Corliss, the parish of French Park.
That's correct, yeah.
His widow, Catherine, died on February 10th, 1876,
Yes.
also in Corliss.
Corliss.
The death records indicate their son, Patrick, as the informant. Now, the children of Andrew and Catherine were as follows. John was the first son, born in Ireland. He married Bridget Muldoon, born in Ireland, though not necessarily in Roscommon, in around 1841.
Yes.
The daughter of Michael Muldoon and Mary Martin.
Yes.
There's a record in the Griffiths valuation of a Michael and Mary Muldoon in Milltown. I don't know where Milltown
That's
is.
the Castle Plunkett. That's still in the same parish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andrew Jr. was the second son of Andrew.
Yeah.
We don't know when he was born, but we assume it was around here.
Yeah.
We don't have any marriage records. So we're figuring that Andrew Jr. immigrated to the United States. Patrick was Andrew's third son. He's the one who stayed here. He was born in 1831, stayed in Ireland, and was the informant on the death of
Yes.
Andrew and Patrick. He married Bridget Higgins and lived in Corliss, presumably in that same plot of ground,
Yeah.
in 1868. He's also named on the 1901 census at the age of 70. Patrick and Bridget had 4 children: Bridget, Thomas, Joseph,
Yes.
and William.
Yes.
Okay? Now, out at the cemetery today, we saw, what was it, Mike? It was Thomas or Joseph?
It was Joseph's tombstone that was erected by Thomas.
And Joseph's tombstone erected by Thomas. Pardon me, I get a little confused.
I know. We all do.
Okay, but Patrick and Bridget
Yeah.
had these 4 children: Bridget, Thomas, Joseph, and William.
Yes.
And the family homestead, again, was in Corliss, and it passed from Andrew to Patrick in 1876, and to his spouse Bridget in 1913. And it was owned outright in 1920. The property passed in 1929 from Patrick and Bridget's to Patrick and Bridget's second son,
Yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Another plot, 13A, passed from Bridget to Joseph in 1929. And in 1959, which is the date on that tombstone that we saw out there,
Yeah.
it passed once again to Patrick Lynch, who was presumably Joseph's son. Okay? The 1911 census shows that Patrick had died, and John, Patrick, Joseph, and William were living at home with their mother Bridget in Corliss. Thomas had married and was also living in Corliss. Thomas is the fellow that Martin,
That's
Mary's
what
husband, talked about Thomas. And 2 children, his Aunt Ellen McDermott, a widow at the age of 78. And we're thinking that that Ellen might be in the Eleanor from Andrew Lynch, Eleanor. So, that's giving you some idea of why we were here. Now, I could go through more, but I'm not sure it would add any more specific detail. And since we're here to talk to you,
Yes.
what can you tell us from what I've told?
Well, all I remember was the Lynchman coming into 12 o'clock or 11:30 Mass every Sunday on the sidecar with his neighbour. His neighbour was Edmund Beattie.
Edmund
He
Beattie.
used to come in on the sidecar to church every Sunday.
Now, this would be about when?
But back in the 40s.
Back in the 40s.
Yeah, back in the 40s, yeah. And I forget his first name, but that's his daughter. No, you'll be meeting tomorrow. This Lynchman's
Mary.
daughter, yeah.
And
She
what,
told me, I was talking to her in Hestress, and I didn't know whether you were going back or not, And she,
what church are you talking about?
I beg your pardon?
Which church was that?
Here in Castlereagh or somewhere else?
He used to come into Mass here.
In Castlereagh.
Which-
Castlereagh, they could have went to Castlereagh, they could have
St. Patrick's?
Yes, they used to come into St. Patrick's, but there wouldn't have been any of them baptised here. They would have been baptised in
French Park
Kilmurray,
or
I think they come under Kilmurray.
not Elfin or?
It's still, no, you don't go down that far.
Uh-huh.
But there's a church not that far from what do you call the place again?
Basically.
Corliss?
Corliss, yeah, Corliss. There are.
And you're saying it's in Kilmurray?
There's the St. Paul's Church in Kilmurray.
St. Paul's
Yeah.
Church in Kilmurray.
Yeah, Kilmurray. That's only about 2 miles away from Basilica.
Mhm.
And it's on the way to Castleflanket.
Mhm.
On the
Yeah,
way to
but if you see Mary
Castle
tomorrow, no, she's the girl that'll she'll fill you in.
She'll fill us in.
And if she brings you to meet her mother, but she said her mother is perfect. She has all her faculties about her.
Mhm.
You know.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure. I think I must have known her mother because he used to come into town here.
Uh-huh.
But she usually has a meal in Hester's. She's Mary Kane, yeah, she was Mary Lynch. And I'd said that she would be your genuine connection.
Connection.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned there was Earlys. I think there was Earlys down that way too. Because there was a school teacher there, or there was a school down there. And
Went down where?
down near Baslick.
Baslick?
Yeah, the schoolhouse there, and the school teacher was Early. But I think they had a notice on the top of the blackboard in the school. Early was never late.
Early?
Never late. Yeah, that's on top of the blackboard. Early was never late. Yeah, I used to hear the older people talking about it.
It's almost like there was a town in Oklahoma that was destroyed by a tornado this
Yes.
past year, and the name of the town was Moore. And so
Yeah.
you could say, well, there's no more Moore.
Well, I worked in the church here for 18 years as a sacristan, like, before I retired. Because I'll be 82 now, come February next.
82.
Please God, yeah. But
I'm catching you.
yeah.
I'm 72.
Well, you're not too bad. You never passed me out though.
I never passed that.
I already forgot, St. Paul's Church where?
In
Kilmurray.
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 Murray.
But I think it comes under the parish, does it, like Basilica? I think it comes under the parish of Tulsk, I think, does it?
Tulsk.
Tulsk.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it does, yeah.
Mhm.
Tulsk, that's only about 7 miles from here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, I told you that Andrew stayed here.
Yeah.
He was one of the 8 children that stayed here. There was another,
Yeah.
and her name was Mary.
Yeah.
Mary Lynch. She was a little younger than
Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Mary Lynch was the first daughter, and she was born in about 1806.
Oh gosh.
She married in Ireland Patrick McManus.
Yeah.
Patrick McManus, who was born also around 1806. They had at least 2 children in Ireland. One was John and one was Patrick.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, this is kind of a curious situation. I'm not exactly sure why.
Yeah.
Patrick McManus and the 2 children, John and Patrick,
Yes.
immigrated to Ireland.
Oh.
From Ireland.
Immigrated from Ireland to Iowa with all the rest of them.
Yes.
And they all of these other siblings, they all went to the same place in Iowa.
It's remarkable, yeah.
Yeah, it's remarkable. But it's farming country.
Yeah.
And my great-great-grandfather, Michael, owned 200 acres. 200 acres
That was a lot.
In 1840.
in 1840
In Ireland, is it, or in America?
in America.
America,
In
yeah.
America. This farmland out here is like 20 acres.
Yes.
But for some reason, we don't know why, Mary did not, we don't think, immigrate.
Yeah.
She stayed here. And she lived, and we have a record on the same Griffiths valuation.
Yes.
We're not sure it's the same person, but it's Mary McManus
Yes.
down in Clooney, Kerry. She's just south.
Clooney.
Clooney Kearney. Clooney Kearney.
Well, there's a Clooney Kearney out this side, you know. A place called Clooney Kearney. Yeah. it's-
That's where
Yeah.
she's from.
Maybe I should also give you the names of the spouses of some of the Lynch daughters in particular.
Yeah.
Bridget Lynch, Michael Lynch's sister, married Patrick Egan.
Yeah.
There are a lot of-
Higgins, is it, or
No, Egan.
Egan, yeah.
There were marriages to the Muldoons, and of course we saw the McGrath.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Lynch married James McGrath.
She was the youngest
Yes.
of the siblings.
Yes.
And she is one, we have a photo.
Yes. I think it was.
This is Elizabeth Lynch
Yes.
McGrath,
Yeah.
and that's James McGrath.
Yeah.
They immigrated from Cove,
Yeah.
and we know the boat in 1849, is it?
About then, I think, yeah.
Yeah, right about there. And they moved around, but ultimately they found their way
Yeah.
to Iowa.
But excuse me, there was there's an early chap living down near Corliss there. He's married to a girl from Castlerea, I think.
There's an early chap down there today.
Is he living in Corliss somewhere? Yeah, early.
Perhaps
it's
Mary,
it's a cattle dealer.
perhaps Mary would know.
Oh, she'll fill in on the.
She would know that.
She'll know all the. Yeah, but there was a father early, from down that parish down there. I remember him actually.
Well, this would be.
She'd fill you in, like she'd know
She
more
would fill
about
us in.
it than I would, like, you know. But I tell you, I had somebody in from Basilic there some years ago, an American, out was standing outside the house and this chap came up to me. He said, you might be able to help me. He was after coming from actually Philadelphia. And I was there several times from Philadelphia because my brother and my grandmother, they're buried out there and my aunt, my mother's mother and her sister and my brother are buried in Philadelphia. But what was his name? Martha. He called and he said, you might be able to help me, he said. And I said, what's the name? He said, Martha. So I sent him down to Baslick. I told him how to get to it and when he came back he was in stitches laughing. Well, he said, I'll laugh until the day I die, he said. At the reception I got gun in the gate. This chap was walking in the front garden and he had the spade up. He said, I thought he was going to kill me. And he said, what hell? He said, are you looking for? He said, I'm looking for my grandfather, my father's people. Like he came from Baslick, you see. So they brought him in. His brother was retired from America. He was sitting in at the fire. He brought him in the back door. Why didn't you bring him in the front door? They were like Lord and Herod, the two of them. But they put him sitting down and took him back to whiskey out of the little press and get him a shot out of it. Sure, they were the house he called it. Sure, their father and this other man's father were brothers. He said, but he said, I'll laugh until the day I die with the reception. I got going in the gate. I didn't know what was wrong with him when he came back. And when I told him where to go, like, this girl came out, she just died there a few months ago. I seen her coming up the street on her bicycle. And she was another one of them, Martha was her name. She'd have been a cousin of his cousin. But he said to me, well, he said, leave it there, he said. I met more cousins and I met more relations in half an hour than been in half a century. They brought him around in all the relations that they could think of, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, his cousin had just come up the street on her bike and he had passed her going down the car.
Yeah.
And the small motor too, like that. But I had a girl in from that she come one Sunday morning. I was just sitting down to her. I was after coming up from the church, and after mass, after closing the church, like closing the circus, and coming up to them. It was just my sister left me dinner on the table, and I was just going to have it, and there was a ring on the door, and these people they were looking for. They were from, I think they were from Phoenix in Arizona,
Okay.
and they were looking for their connections. And I told them about the church house. I said, would you ever excuse me for about 20 minutes or 25? Because I just had my dinner on the table, and if I don't eat it, it'll be gone cold and I come back. So I went down and I said, wait until the church. I said, I'll go down, I'll open and we went into the circus and they took out the register and I got it in just like that, 1857. It was she was looking for scallies. And the next day, so we'll be in Castlereagh on the Monday. She said, we will. So I said, would you ever, I showed them where the parish office was. I said, you could go over to the parish office, I said, and you get some more of your connections from the parish office. And I said, I'll see you after the 11 o'clock mass. And I'll take you over to the cemetery and show you where your relations are buried. Which I done like, and then I brought her out to a little village outside the town, and we're going up the road, and I said, you see the girl standing at the gable of the house? She said, I do. What's wrong with her? I said, that's your cousin. I don't believe you. And the girl came down and I introduced them. They were French children and all that. But I was talking to that same girl yesterday outside the door here. She said, she had more calling her. She said, I'm getting fed up with them now. There's so many calling looking for relations.
Yes.
She said, but around America, it is a very small world, like, but she said, I don't believe it, she said, when I told her that was her cousin. And I said, I won't tell you, no, so we're sure. But another girl came in from the States too, from California. She was looking for her father's connections. She said he was going on for the priesthood. He left 2 years before he would have been ordained a priest, and he got married, and she was one of the family. And she was looking for a townland called a Spoy. So I took out the register out of the safe in the church, and we were going through it. And this old priest, I'd never seen him before or after, he took it from me. And he said, we're wasting our time. They said, excuse me, Father. I said, you skipped a page. That's the town we're looking for there. But I said, there's nobody had that name there. But I said, there's a townland about less than a mile away from it, to your left, out you go on that way. You passed it going down to Corvus, actually. And I told her, I said, you just go up the street here, straight up, and turn left at the crossroads. And the next road you come to, turn left again. And I said, you see a 2-story building with a glass panel in the gable, where there's growing shrubs, some kind of plants. And I said, there could be your connection. I knew they were connected, but I didn't want to. I said, let her get a pleasant surprise for herself.
Now, Anthony, would Michael, my great grandfather,
Yeah.
married a gal by the name of Bridget Fleming.
Yeah.
Would you have any knowledge of any Flemings?
No, there
in-
was Flemings around Castlereagh, like there was a few families of Flemings around Castlereagh, like, you know, but I don't know whether they be connected or not, you know,
Yeah.
if you could have got the townland, it would be easy, like, you know,
Mhm.
If we could get what?
the townland she was born in, like, you know,
I don't know that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, but there was Flemings around in this parish, there was quite a few Flemings, like.
I was down at Ballintubber yesterday and I noticed some Flemings in the cemetery there.
Yeah, sure, there could be two, man, but Clooney Kieran, I know you mentioned the Clooney Kieran, he was out that way too.
Right?
Mhm.
It would be near, I think it would nearly come under the Ballintubber
Yeah.
parish, yeah.
Right.
Ballymore, Ballintubber, yeah. Yeah, but it's surprising who you meet, like, from all over the world.
Yeah.
I had an old woman with me from New Zealand there over 12 months ago, looking
Mhm.
for her, and I sent her out to this, and she met people that lived in the village, like,
Mhm.
and they brought her down and showed her where her ancestors came from in 1857.
Now, Anthony, what you familiar with the people in these various townlands in
Yeah.
Corliss and surrounding?
Yeah, yeah.
What would their occupation have been?
And most of them would be all farmers, like.
And what would they farm? Potatoes?
So, well, they could have cattle and sheep, and some of them have sheep, and then some of them maybe grow potatoes. And
Potatoes.
yeah, it's a nice place down there, Corliss, down along there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Now,
You ask that girl tomorrow now about the Father Early.
I will.
Yeah,
And, you know, these people, like my other relatives, immigrated before the famine.
yes, yeah,
But Andrew and Catherine lived through the famine.
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what the famine was like in this area?
Sure. I believe 900 died in the workhouse here. Actually, I have a photograph of the workhouse.
Where was the workhouse?
It was up straight up about less than about a half a mile from where we are, straight up you see railings, but the workhouse is gone now, but
And what was the workhouse? What was the purpose
they were
of the
built by
work?
the British to house all those people that
That couldn't,
they couldn't,
they were evicted from their land?
they were dying on the roadside. This man told me, his grandfather told him, when they were coming into town one Saturday morning, they found two men dead on the road, so it was time of the famine. And one fellow had a new pair of boots on him. And they took one fellow into a cemetery, they were passing by a cemetery, like, and they brought in the remains and after they said somebody had buried him. And they went back to get the other one, when they went back, the boots had been taken off him. Somebody stole the boots off the dead man. And they're only a new pair of boots, but they brought him in too. And then, where the workhouse was up there, there's two cemeteries there. But there was a fever hospital attached to the workhouse also, and anyone that died from the fever, they had a big pit dug, and they had boards going down, and they slid them down the boards into the pit, and they throw a quicklime on the bodies to burn the flesh off it, the way the fever wouldn't spread to wipe out the parish, so it would. That's what they had to do with it. But there was two schools in it, male and female school, and the schoolmaster was from Balladreen, about 12 miles from here.
I know Balladreen.
And he turned out the finest pupils to get a job anywhere. They get one in the White House if they were looking for it. So they would turn out the most outstanding pupils. He was a qualified teacher, he came from Balladreen. They brought him up as to teach the inmates in the workhouse.
So,
They did all kinds of Catholic and Protestant and all the time in the workhouse. I had a chap with me last Saturday, they were from he's looking for his great grandfather. He's in charge of the Bridewell, which was a prison up in the Market Square there. And on your left, there's a garage there in front of it now. It was only a small prison, but his great grandfather was the keeper of it. He was a member of the Royal Irish Constabulary. Yes, I said I have his name. I said I went down and sent it on to him. He came from was it Bath in England or somewhere. And had relations at Douglas Hyde last week. I must have about 10 or 12 people in looking last week for their ancestry. And been no problem getting them for them. I got them all.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's surprising where they come from. Even Jamaica, there was a lady member from Jamaica years ago.
Yeah.
She was coloured girl.
So was the potato blight
It was, that's why it was.
severe?
It was, and the landlord said they sent all the maize and everything that was grown, they were sent to England.
Was there maize, corn grown around
it?
it?
It was brought it to England.
Huh?
The landlords got it sent to England.
Uh,
There was a famine in part of England too. Some people died in England from famine, all was.
Yeah, every year during each of the famines, they exported food, right?
They did, it was all going to England. But
Yeah.
the people that deserved it here didn't get it at all. People that grew it had to, the land was Scotland brought it away with them. Got it off to England, shipped it to England. Yeah.
Now, what can you tell us about the immigration patterns back in the mid 19th century? Would those people, do you think, have immigrated from Cove or from Westport or from
It
Sligo?
was mostly Cove, I think they went from, yeah. That's what
How
it
did
was.
they get there?
To
Cove?
Cove?
How
They
did
had to
they
go,
get
they'd have to
there?
go by maybe coach. There was no trains up to the 1860s. The first train that came to Castlereagh, it was 1860, the first train that arrived in Castlereagh. And they'd have to go by coach and...
By coach?
By coach, whatever way they went. They couldn't walk on it to be too far to go to Cove and Cork.
Right.
Yeah.
And
some of them
a
probably
large number of people immigrated
They would have
from
went from, oh, they did, thousands of people. Yeah.
thousands.
Yeah, sure, they were dying, they were buried them at sea, they were dying from the starvation, so they were, and the ships that threw them overboard. It was terrible, it was terrible, and England done nothing to help us during the famine.
They didn't.
The only one that done anything was the, what do you call that religious sect in America?
Yes, the
Oh, I can't think of the name now.
Quakers.
Quakers, they were the only one that helped, the Quakers. Yeah, but the English done nothing, they were taking all our food. Yeah, but the people were, they were dying on the roadsides, so they were,
Even in Castlereagh, right?
yeah. And where they died, they buried them.
Right there.
They buried them in fields, they died out in fields, they might come across bodies years and years after. That's what they do with them.
Now, would our relatives living in Corliss have come to Castlereagh for the markets? Or?
The what I said them, it was really the market town Castlereagh, like, you know, the
So they would have brought their sheep or their cattle.
They would, that's true, yeah.
Where was that market?
It was up in the Market Square there.
Right down the street.
Yeah, just up there, and you turn left just when you go up there, you see the Market Square laid out. And you have the Protestant school where on the right hand side. And they have the market house. They used to hold the markets in there too, and then the wet weather. The market house. The place, the Market Square, was laid up by the Sanfords in pre-1826. And before that, they'd have the market, the fairs up, further up above at the back of the plaza.
So is there a lot of ill feeling towards the Pakenhams and the Sanfords?
Oh, there would have been that. Well, no, they employ a fair few Catholics, like, you know, the Sanfords.
They employ
But
it.
sure, they had to do what they were, to lose their stashes, I'd say, to do what they were told, the landlords. But some of the landlords never lived in Ireland.
But the Sanfords did.
Oh, they lived here for...
And Pakenham
Yeah,
did?
yeah, they were connected with the crowd in Strokestown house. And an awful lot died. They sent boatloads of them from Strokestown at the time of the famine to America.
Right. Now, were they tied in with this fellow, is it Mahan or?
Mahan, they were Pakenham Mahan, yeah. That's Pakenham Mahan, what they call them, yeah. There was one of them shot dead.
Yes, because
I read about that.
Because he sent
Yeah,
thousands
he did, yeah.
of evicted from the land and paid for their.
And the man they hanged for shooting him, he never shot him at all.
The man was hanged for him, never shot him.
No, he was hanged in the wrong.
So he was just.
Yeah, just had to get somebody. You see.
Yeah.
But you see, he had informed at that time too. Because where Castlereagh Prison is now up here.
Where?
Castlereagh Prison.
Castlereagh Prison.
There was a landlord there, he was young, James Young, he was shot on the 2nd of June 1877. He was coming down to reside at the courts, and the court was called them the Pesci Sessions that time. And he said to the court driver, "Did you bring the muslin to cover the meat?" They used to buy the meat in the butcher shop opposite the church down Patrick Street here. And he said, "I forgot to bring it," so he sent him back. When he came back here, shot dead in the coach.
Oh.
I met his grandson sent me on a copy of his diary. I met his grandson, we brought him around myself and the late rector's widow. She was Church of Ireland, like, and I used to put on the heat for them in the Protestant church every Friday evening. Because the two ladies, they'd have to climb up a ladder to pull the switch, like, and they used to go up and do it for them. I was working in both churches. But they were very ecumenical and very nice to Protestant families. I did one lady die there last year, no, She wouldn't be that far from Corus, down in Termon, a town called Termon in the parish here. To be only about 2 miles from Corus. And she had the biggest funeral. They brought her remains to the church in Ballina because the Protestant church was still closed here. And there must be hundreds and hundreds of Catholics there. The Protestant people in Ballina couldn't believe. They'd never seen a funeral like it in their lifetime. There's an awful lot of people on top from town here too. I went out to find what the parish priest was going out here. He went out to it too because she gave a field to Termon school for the children to play football and if she was to sell that field she would have got 200,000 for it.
Now, would Andrew and Catherine's children,
Yeah.
would they have had any educational opportunities back in
Oh,
1840?
I say the wood, yeah, sure. Well, to be mostly hedge schools that time, you know, you'd be under a hedge or something. They had to teach them out where they couldn't be seen.
They were secret
Or
schools.
secret schools. It's like
Was that because of the penal laws?
the penal laws, yeah.
Mhm.
And they called them hedge schools. Yeah, there were several of them around here, 2 hedge schools.
What is it? A hedge?
Hedge,
school.
you know, like-
hedge,
Like a hedge?
Yeah, so
hedge.
where they could just
So
have
they
a
would-
gathering and it wouldn't be
They'd be
seen.
under,
I
they'd
see.
be under trees or hedges. like
They'd
you
be
know.
under a tree. And who would be the teacher of that?
Well, they'd have a teacher. Or
They-
he gets so much and he might come back a week after again and start teaching again.
I see.
Maybe get 1 and 6 or something.
So this would not be a regular thing, this would be
Yeah, you know, it was a regular thing most of the time, like, you know, that time.
Mhm.
The hedge schools, yeah. Yeah, there was quite a few.
between what ages would the children be?
And they'd be all, I suppose, and they were maybe 6, 7, 8 or 9 and 10,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then after that, they'd go to work in the fields.
And then you had people watching out for the priest hunters, you know, to be after if they caught at the priest's mass, they'd be executed. They had that out in woods and they'd say mass in different places.
So they wouldn't say mass in a church, they'd
They weren't
say,
allowed to.
they weren't allowed to.
No, sure, the churches are all desecrated at that time. And then the British took over the churches. Sure, all the churches in England too, what Cromwell done in England. They destroyed all the fine, it was all the abbeys and everything. And still, some of them held on to some of the Catholic churches, the Church of England. So I can't understand, even when the Queen was over, she was here. And she's connected to the O'Connors, the High Kings of Ireland and the Kings of the Province of Connaught. There was 11 High Kings of Ireland of the O'Connors, and there's 26 of the Province of Connaught. You see, there's 5 counties in Connaught. The Sligo, Leitrim, Roscommon, Galway, and where it's
Mayo?
Mayo, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, in
there was
the,
6 in it up to the 15th century.
in the early years that my ancestors were here, in the
Yeah.
30s,
Yeah.
1830,
Yeah.
there was a liberator in
Yeah.
Ireland,
Oh, Daniel O'Connor.
Daniel O'Connor.
Yeah.
And he would hold these mass meetings. He was a very eloquent speaker and
Yeah.
hold these mass meetings.
Yeah.
Would people have from the Castlereagh attended possibly any of those
But
meetings?
sure, he had some of his family was married to a Major Balfe from just out the road, 2 mile out the road, South Park, Castlereagh. To be on your way down to Corus, South Park. If you come in, did you come out that? Did you go out that way?
South, what did you say?
South Park.
South
It
Park.
was South Park House. It was burned by the IRA in 1921.
And who would have,
Daniel O'Connor used to visit there because one of his, his nephews or his sister or somebody was married to Major Balfe, and they were Catholics.
Mhm.
So they were the Balfes.
so Daniel O'Connor would have been traveling and
Oh, he
occasionally
did. He was,
come to Castlereagh
Yeah,
area,
yeah,
or the
yeah.
Roscommon
oh, he
area.
did. He used to speak out there and outside the houses. There was a big, huge house there, and there was another house not far away from it where
This is in South Park.
South Park, yeah. Along there.
So it's conceivable that my ancestors would have had some at least been aware of his presence.
They'd have been at his meetings.
They would be at his meetings.
They would, I said they would, yeah. And remarkable, like it's only a mile or 2 away from South Park, Corliss.
Mm.
I passed by it there recently, by where the house was, and they buried them in, and they had lead-lined coffins, like, you know. And the time of the troubles in 1921, the IRA vandalised the coffins and they made bullets out of the lead.
Now, Anthony, can you tell me a little bit about your family and
Well, my grandfather, he came from Balhedreen. But
your grandfather
my
came
father's
from?
father came from Balhedreen. It was Touhy. And I remember going down with another lad.
How do you pronounce it? Touhy.
Touhy. Well, some call it Touhy and others call it, but can't pronounce it. It don't matter what way we pronounce it. But we went down, this other lad and I went down to Balhedreen. He lived a few miles out, he lived out in Ballintrubber, he was Touhy, out back of Touhy. There must have been blood relations. We went down looking for connections and we got to this man's house and he said, "You're wasting your time." He said, "Don't go any further." He said, "They're all related." And that's what he told us. I know they'd be all intermarried and everything there.
Yeah.
But my grandfather, he was married in the church out here in the cemetery, the rooms of the Sayre still, in 1878. And my grandmother was born here in 1854, same year as Oscar Wilde. He was born in Dublin, but Oscar's father was from Castlereagh, and his grandfather was a doctor here in Castlereagh. They came here in the 1750s to Castlereagh, the Wildes. And Oscar's father performed an operation on the King of Sweden. He heard that he had gone blind and he wrote a letter to him saying, "I'll operate on your eyes if you let me, for nothing, for free." So he went out on the operation, he removed the cataracts and go see perfect. And he said, "I have to give you something." No, I said, "I don't want anything." He said, "I told you I wouldn't charge you." So I gave him the highest honorary recognition in Sweden, the Order of the Polar Star. What a nice gesture, like, you know.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But he was a brilliant eye, ear and throat surgeon. He perfected instruments for operating in the eye, ear and throat, and they can never improve on them.
I'll tell you a coincidence.
Yeah,
Back in Pittsburgh, Sue and I, our next door neighbor
yeah,
is a fellow by the name of Jim and Ann Kerrigan.
yeah,
His mother came from Balhedreen,
yeah. That's only 12 miles from us here.
12 miles from where we
Yeah,
are today.
Yeah, that's
Balhedreen.
Yeah, yeah. But my brother now, he was in the American Air Force, and they were passing through New York, and he went into an old bookshop, and he was going through books in it, and he turned over this page, and there was a photo of my grandfather on the side here. It was written by a man from Philadelphia, the book, which was published in 1909, but the photographs were taken in 1901. And my grandfather on the side here, you had a John Fitzgibbon who lived, a big businessman across the road here. And my grandfather used to drive him out and the people would be evicted to see what could they do for them, like, you know, because he was a member of Parliament, John Fitzgibbon. And he had two sons in the 1914, 1918 war. One of them was a Jesuit priest. He was killed, attended to the wounded and dying. And he got the military cross for it. But I don't think they wanted to take it, saying his father was a member, a nationalist member of Parliament. Yeah, but I met a lot of relations they've called here, and they've photographs of the whole.
Well, you have quite a reputation.
I don't know about that, whether it was a good one or a bad one.
It's a good one.
I said it must be the only one that was baptised in Castlereagh.
Yeah, maybe.
No, well, I got a lot of people through the church too, when I was working there. I got them from different parts of the world looking for their ancestry.
Now, this chap Sanford,
Yeah,
who was the big landholder
yeah.
here, he developed a distillery, did he not?
There was a distillery and there was 2 mills at the end of the town, and they were demolished overnight. We never even knew about, because they should have been kept as heritage sites, so they should, the mills.
And where was the distillery?
The distillery, there was a distillery down the street here before you come to the bridge, and at the back of those Conley Brothers there. There was a distillery.
Was that Sanford's distillery?
It would have been him that got it done, and then they had a distillery mills at the end of the town, and they had a cordon mill on opposite sides of the bridge over there. And the old bridge that was there, you know the names of the stonemasons that worked on the old bridge?
No.
Built the old bridge. Black and white on day and night. That was their surnames. Honestly, that was true. Like,
Really?
Yeah, black and white on day and night.
And they probably built the distillery there to use the water from the river.
Oh, they did, yeah, sure, that's what. And then they tried to start an electric thing, and it failed. It went with losses at 20,000. That was a lot back in the early 1920s.
Yeah.
But I was telling you, I had 3 mass services when I was working in the church down here, and I showed them to the priest, early, noon and night. One remarkable,
Right.
early, noon and night.
Right.
Yeah, and this lad was fishing down the river, and the fishing inspector came along. He said, "What's your name?" He said, "I'm Burley Pigeon." And he said, "Show me your license." So I showed it to him. And you know what the fishing officer's name was? Tom Crow.
That's right.
Pigeon and Crow, the sort of names.
Crow.
There's two girls up the street that were married. One of them was married to a fellow by the name of Rabbit, and that's just the other girl's name, which was married to a Protestant. I just can't think of his name offhand now at the moment. But you come across unusual marriages like another. But
Well, Anthony, I tell you, we certainly do appreciate your
no, I will show you the photos.
answer. Yes, please.
Let's see, I think they're in this, some of the Stanfords. Well, Oscar Wilde's grandfather was buried in the Protestant cemetery here, and his granddad's. It's one of Miss out there with my haircut.
Is this you?
That printer's fine. That's the school my grandmother went to.
That's
So-
in Castlereagh?
Castlereagh. I was out at the cemetery.
Where would that have been, that school?
It's just outside the town. Just the cemetery is, the back of it is facing into the cemetery. So it
It
is.
looks like there's a very impressive estate just the other side
Oh,
of the
there is
cemetery.
Clonallis. They're connected now to the British Royalty.
The Clonallis?
The O'Connors, yeah. They are, yeah.
O'Connor.
Yeah, I was speaking to this lad. No, he's Staunton is his own name, but his mother was O'Connor, one of the O'Connors. And I was speaking to him, went up to get the papers once and up to a pub up the street, and he was there and we were talking, and he said this man was running down the Queen. And he said, I said to him, before you go any further now, he said, I want to tell you that she's a relation of mine. So that finished there. Which she was, like, you know, going back to the ancestry.
Yeah.
Actually, I think some of the right are descended from the O'Connors. They're mostly German, you see, and the O'Connors are married into the Germans too.
I
So
see.
they were, yeah. But I met a relation, a genuine member of the royal family. They were Catholics, the Duke of Norfolk's cousin. I met them next door years ago, and in the shop next door to us, it was a grocery and bar at that time. But she was about 6'2", the woman, lovely person. She was behind the counter serving the country people, like, you know, just filling in the time. They were staying in Clonallis because they would have been connected. Fine, she was a giant of a woman also. But there was a Miss O'Connor out there, I'll tell you a good one about her. I was on the church door with the parish priest, the late parish priest, and Josephine O'Connor was coming into the night, it was 9:30 mass that time. Good morning, Dean, how are you this morning? But she said, I'm not too bad. They looked up at her, God, I said, I like your hat. Oh, yes, she said, but it's a big hat. Oh, yes, he said, but you'd have to have a big head to put it on. But the two of them took a fish of laughter, they forgot where they were.
Yeah.
And the people stood up on the seats looking back to see what was going on.
Yeah.
God, if it was your way, we'd be thrown out of the church.
Yeah.
But he was a great character. He went to a night this soul and he got bad once, and then they couldn't get the other priests had gone home for the curates were gone home to their families for a few hours. And this man took out, got the car and brought the parish priest down, and when he went up, where was himself when he went into the house? They were all crying. He's upstairs, so he went up and he anointed him. And when he had the old man anointed, there had been a policeman and the old RIC, like, before the civic guards came on the scene. Am I going to die, Dean? He said. Or what should the time for you, said the Dean to him. And should the two of them were in the races. Well, the two of them took a fish and after it. I thought the bed had come through the ceiling. And they said, what's ever going on up there? There's nobody dying. So he said, when I come down, he said, I put them all in good humour, he said.
Yes.
But that's the type he was like.
So what else do you have here to show us?
I want to show you some of the Stanfords. Imagine this one there and the next one beside me here. There are men in the... I have to put all the photos back in the proper...
Castlereagh National School. Armed.
That's under arm capture. No, that's across the street from us here. No, that was all done up since. Yeah. That's the house where the prison is now. They have a prison up there. The Youngs, the man who was telling them I was shot. And I went to that school. That's just when it was completed. And then I went kind of derelict there a few years ago, but that looked after it. And that's, I think, to Oscar Wilde's father down in Tipperary. That's Sir William Wilde, now Oscar's father. He was born in just up the street opposite the courthouse.
So this is, who is this?
Sir William Wilde.
This is Oscar Wilde's father,
Father, yeah.
who was born where?
Just up the street opposite the courthouse, Main Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But a plaque
In 1815.
1815, yeah. Yeah, his father was a doctor here, and his father was the first church warden when the present, well, that was closed now as a Protestant church, where he was the first church warden, when it opened in 1819. that's the same again, really. I'm going the wrong way. I'll have to put them all back. I take them out showing them to people and I forget to put them back.
Oh, careful.
That's sundial on the sundial on the Protestant church. That's the day they closed the church.
Sad day, yeah.
It was a pity. It was 1997 they closed it. It was open in 1819. There was a nephew of this woman's son was in with me the other day from up in County Offaly. But she has Alzheimer's now. And her sister is the same.
What did they do with the church building after they closed the
They're
church?
turning it into a heritage and arts centre.
Oh.
And they'll have concerts, they'll have everything in it, like, you know, it's fairly big, like. That's them the day of the close, and she died just a year ago. She gave the land for the school, the land, the field, for them to play, have sport and like. And she could have got a colossal price for it. That's the stone now that was put up on the avenue coming down where the prison is now. To James Young, they were shot in 1877. And there was a fella coming down one night from a party in it, and he had 2 drinks taken, and he went off the road at the car and knocked the stone. They said it was maliciously damaged in 1929, and is hereby now restored under the care of the vestry of the parish. They have it up in the cemetery now. That's the church now. That's Holy Trinity Church, the Protestant church.
And where is that?
That's up on the hill. You'll see it when you're going up that way. You see it up on the top of the hill.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
How many Protestants are there versus
very few now. And I remember the church being filled with them back in there. But a lot of them never got married, like, you know, and a lot of them went away then. They went down the north. But I know a lot of the Protestant families that were from here that went down the north, they used to always come back on the 12th, before the 12th of July. They didn't want to stay down there when the 12th of July was coming up. I'm putting this back here.
Well, very good. Anthony, you've been so kind to share some...
I think this is the one where the Sanfords are in.
Okay.
That's the old schoolhouse again. That's where the prison was above in the Market Square. It was a small prison. And they built a garage in front of it, like there's a garage up there, no, just up on the left hand side. That's Oscar Wilde's grandson on Merlin Holland. Yeah.
Are there many prisoners in that prison today?
Oh, there's over 300 up here.
Yeah, but it's a kind of a minimum security prison.
It is. There was a fellow up in court there yesterday. He raped 2 young girls there in that lawn last weekend. One of them was 6 and the other was 9.
Oh,
It was terrible.
Yeah.
He was up there yesterday. Castlereagh Union Workhouse, population 1891, County Roscommon and Mayo, 37,473, 19 elected divisions.
What is this?
It's about the workhouse, the union between Roscommon and Mayo. Chairman, the Right Honourable the O'Connor Drum, Clonellis, Castlereagh. Vice Chairman, Mr. John French, Latra House, French Park. Deputy Vice Chairman, M.J. Nealon, Esquire, Castlereagh. Treasurer, National Bank, Castlereagh. Clerk of Returning Officer, M. Flanagan. Master and Matron John Hester and Jane Brooke. Some of them died in it, some of the masters died in it. Chaplains, the Church of Ireland, Reverend Robert Urban Ford. Roman Catholic Chaplain, Reverend P. Handley. Medical staff for Patrick C. Walsh. Relieving Officer Patrick Higgins, Balladreen. Michael Hussey, Castlereagh. Patrick Gaffrey, Castlereagh. Superintendent of Birth, Deaths and Marriages, M. Flanagan. I knew then his daughters, that Flanagan. Dispensary District's population in 1891, medical officer and registers. Birth, Deaths and Marriages. Balladreen, 13,586. Stephen McDermott. Castleflunkett. You'd be near Castleflunkett, that should be very near Basilic, or not Basilic and Corliss, yeah. Castlereagh, French Park, and so on, so on.
I was in French Park yesterday,
Yeah.
and I photographed the tombstones in the cemetery.
Did you get Douglas Hyde?
Did I get where?
Douglas Hyde in Portahard. The first president, he's buried in French, but he was born out the road here. The house is just out the road.
Well, I've tried to photograph every single legible tombstone
Yeah, I know,
in the
yes.
cemetery.
But you didn't come away in Port Harper where this Douglas Hyde is buried in it, first president. His father was rector in French Park, but he was in Kilmactranny near Sligo before that. And Douglas's mother came back from Douglas's birth with her own mother and father out in Longford House, because Longford House was the Church of Ireland rectory, and she came to be there with for Douglas's birth rather. And he was baptised in the church we're looking at there in 1860, and his grandfather died the same day, the same year as he was. That's Glenella's house now, taken years and years ago.
That's Glenella's house?
Yes.
And who lived in Glenella's house?
He's a
Did
nephew.
Sanford live there?
Oh no, oh God no, that was a real Catholic, what was a real Catholic establishment. It's grand now, thank you. That's Oscar Wilde's tomb in Paris.
What is this?
Can you go into this house now? Is it open?
The which day?
The Glenella's house?
It's closed for the season now. It was open up to a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Oscar's. They put some kind of a thing outside it now,
Mm-hmm.
because there was too many putting their hands on it. It was, so they put some kind of perspex or something outside to stop the... That's the First Lady Sanford, 1762-1818. It's a nice photograph of her.
First Lady Sanford.
Yeah.
When I was at French Park, when I was at the cemetery in French Park,
there was another place there, a heritage place to Douglas Hyde. And he's buried there.
well, I was saying that I think there were 3 of the most impressive markers in the cemetery were for people named French,
Yes.
which must have been the.
Oh, they were they were big landlords to the Frenches. They weren't very good, I think. That's the first sign for the Canterbury. And it's on the back of it.
1620.
Yeah.
Theophilus Sanford.
Yeah, that's when he came.
The first Sanford.
It was great to get them from the ancestor.
Mm-hmm.
Arrived to Castlereagh in 1648.
That's Mary Grace Sanford, 1851. She died in 1851.
1648 would have been when the British took over the land.
Right. Right.
That's the third and last Mount Sanford.
Mm-hmm.
Born the 10th of May, 1756.
This Theophilus Sanford looks like he could have been a pretty nasty character if you were crosswise with him.
What night did you say the...
Oh, he had heads removed?
A big pardon? No, I don't think so. No,
not that.
No, they weren't bad landlords really.
Mm-hmm.
Although some people would tell you they were,
But they were not as bad as a lot of the landlords were.
Some of the landlords
were ruthless.
They starved people to death.
Right.
There was one woman, her son.
So they had some compassion.
Her son took a hen. It was the time of the famine, and he locked the young lad into a shed, into a stable, and left him there, and he died in it. And the lad's mother went up to the landlord's front door, and he opened the door, and she went down, and she invoked the widow's curse on him, and he died suddenly. It's this deadly thing, the widow's curse.
Hmm.
The widow's curse is deadly.
That's one of the Sanford. That's the Sanford window, the east window in the Church of Ireland.
Hmm.
And that's the Sanford window. That's one of the Sanford women.
Mm-hmm.
North window of the Sanford family in Holy Trinity Church. See that they.
Well, you see, I live near Chicago, and Chicago has a somewhat similar curse.
Yeah.
There was a Greek man there who, in the late 1930s,
Yes.
wanted to take his goat in to watch a baseball game,
Yes.
and they wouldn't let him. So he put a curse on the team, and they haven't won the baseball championship ever since.
See, that's the same with the Mayo Gaelic football team. We're supposed to went through a funeral like and celebrating a Traveler's funeral.
Yeah.
That's the. His son was here a few weeks ago. He died he was born in 1909. They brought him back to baptize him in the church up there on the hill. And that's an address of welcome on the marriage, not the marriage at Sanford. You see, he's going to be the last one down, and that's the landlord that comes here, his wife and daughter. And that's where we're taking up the old mill at the end of the town.
So these are the descendants from the Sanford family.
They are, yeah.
Do they still live in town?
No, he's living in London.
London?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there are no Sanfords left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just living the last real direct line is, that's the father and son there again, and that's the Protestant church in Ballinlaw. 1916 is on the back of it. And that's the Sanford window again up in Holy Trinity. And that's the chair which was presented by Canon Ford. She's the last Sanford lady now, this woman here. She lived in, she was connected to the Pakenham Mans, this lady. She was the last of the Strokestown. The last Sanford, she was from Strokestown, I think.
In front of Castlereagh House, the residence of the Sanford. So where would Castlereagh House be?
It was down in the park, but it was demolished. There's a Gaelic football pitch there now.
Oh, I see, it was
The
demolished.
stabling that was down there, the local engineer told me, he said it was the best stabling in Europe. He said it should never have been interfered with. And I still remember it very well. And there was a little thing in the castle yard, as they call it. And there was a bell up there. We used to be throwing stones up trying to ring the bell. But my father, he was secretary of the town's trust here, and they were looking after the park. And this priest was looking for a bell for his church just outside the town, in the parish here also. And he mentioned to my father trudged right to the town's trust, and they gave him the bell. So I was up there at the 150th anniversary of this is one of the outlying parishes churches there a few weeks ago, and I heard the bell ringing. And that had been there for a few hundred years down in the park down there. But there's some factories and there's a Gaelic football pitch there now. That's where Oscar Wilde, that's in Dublin. There's a William Wilde, oral and ophthalmic surgeon, archaeologist, ethnologist, antiquarian, biographer, statistician, naturalist, topographer, historian, folklorist. He was a genius. He'd done a lot on the line of that's taken up in the church too. That's a collection plate. But Oscar's grandfather was buried within the ruins of this old church. That was
There's your coat of arms.
Did you ever hear the Touhy gangsters in Chicago?
The Troy gangsters?
The Touhy gangsters.
Oh, Touhy gang. There's a street in Chicago named Touhy. It's an east-west street that goes from Lake Michigan through the city of Chicago and through several of the suburbs. I used to live in a suburb out by the airport named Park Ridge, and Touhy goes right through Park Ridge.
What was it called? There was supposed to be gangsters. None of them ever died naturally. They were all shot. And the last one that was staying was a policeman.
Have you ever heard of Boot Hill?
Standing on the steps outside and bang bang.
Have you ever heard of Boot Hill in Tombstone, Arizona?
I heard the tombstone.
Boot Hill is the cemetery there.
Yeah.
And the markers, they'll have a name, and they aren't stone markers. They're usually a metal plate on a pipe. And they'll have captions like, well, one of them is a Thomas Carney, and it says, hung by mistake.
Yes.
And you go through the cemetery, and everybody in the cemetery died a violent death, except for some physician. And there they felt it necessary to say he died a natural death.
Yeah.
The only person in the cemetery.
That man there was shot, James Young.
James Young.
He was coming down to the courts.
He was the landlord that
Was
got
he
shot.
the last fellow to be shot in the Civil War?
No, they just before the treaty was signed, it was a policeman that was shot. He was Sergeant King. He came from Donegal.
Yeah.
And he
was shot in Castlereagh.
He was shot
right here.
No, you go down the other street. When you go around the turn down the other street.
Yeah.
He was shot down there, just throwing his leg over the bicycle, over the saddle of the bicycle, and these two IRA fellas went down and they because this one was telling me they were going home from school on a Saturday morning, just about less than half an hour before the treaty was signed. And the she said we were going home, but we were only young, she said, we were going home from the convent school. There used to be school on Saturday morning, them times, and she said the two fellas passed them on the bicycles, and next thing they put out the revolvers, and he was just throwing his leg over the saddle and down he got the bike on top of him. And there was a priest annoying to him then, like, and the priest said to the British soldier, he said, "It's a terrible thing to happen." The British soldier said to him, he said, "He lived by the gun and he died by the gun." What the right, what the true, like, you know. He lived by the gun and he died by it. There were several shot around here at the time of the Troubles.
There was what?
Several people shot, like, you know, but some of the, only for the Royal Irish Constabulary, they used to deal next door, the shop next door, and they used to bring word down to tell Mrs. Malarkey to get word out to the different people that warrants for their sons' arrest from Dublin Castle. And she'd send word out and tell the women to come in and say, "Get your sons away." Because they'd be arrested and they could be executed, like, you know.
I assume that the expression "that's a bunch of malarkey" is related to the Malarkey family. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Malarkey was one of the Malarkeys. No, he was shot in New Jersey. He was working in a big store there, and these three of the most wanted gangsters in America went in, and there was two men standing near the till, and they told them to step back, and Malarkey fellow was down the shop a bit further, like, and he put up his hand and took down a tin of beans or peas or whatever it was, and he went to throw it at them, and they put 3 bullets in him. And they were reprieved 2 hours before they were to die in the electric chair. But I'd said that Mrs. Malarkey wouldn't want to see anyone dying. Leave it to the man above when their day came. Yeah. But what's the 3 rings on marriage? Did you ever hear that? I seen it on the paper the other day. The engagement ring, the wedding ring, and suffering.
No.
Suffering.
He taught the suffering.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much for the time
Please
that
be
you've
bringing
given
But
us.
I say now, when they meet this girl to Mumbai, she told me her mother's in the nursing home here, like, you know, and she said she's 92, but she has a perfect memory.
Well, we're looking forward to meeting with her
It's
tomorrow.
It's great to meet you, like, and
Yeah.
sure, I might get your address later.
Sure.
For
Do you